Russia-Ukraine war live, Russian forces attack Palace of Culture, 7 injured. The brutal Russia-Ukraine war has entered day 86. In a massive move, Sweden and Finland moved ahead with their applications for NATO membership, leading Moscow to reiterate warnings of far-reaching consequences. After over 2 months of battle, Azovstal defenders were evacuated. Meanwhile, the U.S. announced an additional $215 million as food aid to Ukraine. Hungary proposes imposing a sea embargo on Russian oil supply. Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó stated that Hungary is proposing imposing a sea embargo on the Russian oil supply rather than onshore delivery. Szijjártó said that if the European Union wants to punish Russia on the oil front, then introduce an embargo on maritime oil deliveries, because that represents by far the majority of Russian oil deliveries to Europe. And if they give an exemption to pipeline deliveries, then their economies can continue to operate, and the European Union. Ukraine shelved settlement of Mikhailovka, says DPR representative. The DPR representative office at the Joint Center for Control and Coordination of the Ceasefire, JCCC, stated that Ukrainian troops shelled the settlement of Mikhailovka in the Donetsk People's Republic, firing 120. The representative said that fire was reported by the AFU, Armed Forces of Ukraine, in the direction of Novgorodsky, Mikhailovka, and that 6 shells of 122 mm caliber were fired by Ukraine. Josep Borrell vows to hold Russian forces involved in sexual abuse in Ukraine accountable. Josep Borrell, the EU's High Representative, claims that the Russian military personnel were involved in sexual abuse in Ukraine. He further said that they will be held accountable. He stated that in the freed territories of Ukraine, unspeakable acts have been reported. He further said that among the atrocities committed by the Russian military is the use of sexual abuse against women and children, and that it is necessary to hold those guilty accountable. Borrell emphasized that the EU is trying to eliminate sexual violence caused by war around the world. Zelensky says evacuation of defenders of the Azovstal plant will be completed in near future. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky expects that the process of evacuation of the Ukrainian defenders on the grounds of the Azovstal plant in Mariupol will be concluded soon. He said in an interview that the evacuation of additional civilians living near the plant or in Mariupol has been ongoing for some time. He claimed that civilians and medics were evacuated, as well as the badly injured and wounded. The president also said that he believes the evacuation of everyone will be finished in the near future, perhaps even in the coming days. Lithuania to stop importing electricity from the Russian Federation. Lithuanian transmission system operator Litgrid has decided to suspend Russian electricity imports beginning May 22. It should be noted that the concerned authorities were informed about the situation ahead of time, according to media reports. From Sunday, Russian electricity imports will be halted in the country. Putin orders comprehensive assessment of WTO members' actions against Russia. Amid back-to-back sanctions on Russian companies, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday held a meeting wherein he ordered the officials to analyze the measures that the countries of the World Trade Organization, WTO, have taken against Russia. As per the details of the meeting updated on the Kremlin website on Friday, the Russian head directed the government to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the measures taken by the member states of the WTO this year to restrict trade with Moscow. The government of the Russian Federation should conduct a comprehensive assessment of the measures taken by the member states of the World Trade Organization in 2022 to restrict trade with the Russian Federation for their compliance with the rules and principles of this organization. TASS news agency quoted the statement released from Germany to send the first 15 Gepard tanks to Ukraine in July. A German defense ministry official confirmed in Berlin on Friday that the first 15 Gepard tanks will be delivered to Ukraine in July, according to media reports. He stated that German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht and her Ukrainian counterpart, Oleksiy Reznikov, had agreed to this through video link. Russia and Algeria working on a new strategic partnership document. Algerian ambassador to Russia Smail bin Amara stated that Russia and Algeria are working on a new strategic partnership document to expand collaboration in sectors not covered by the previous. The ambassador said that they are debating a draft strategic partnership and that the preceding text had been around since 2001. Over 2 decades. He further said that they are currently working on a new text to replenish and reinforce other areas of collaboration that were not included in the original. Ukraine exported goods worth $2.7 billion in April, twice less than a year ago. In April, the total value of goods shipped from Ukraine was $2.7 billion, which is less than half of what it was in April of the previous year. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal stated at a cabinet meeting that the overall value of goods exported from Ukraine in April amounted to $2.7 billion, according to operative statistics from the State Customs Service. He further said that they exported $5.4 billion in April 2021. More than twice as much as they did in April 2022. Ukraine gets support from 42 countries in the complaint against Russia at ICJ. In the complaint against Russia at the International Court of Justice, 42 countries have supported Ukraine and intend to join the proceedings, stating that they applaud Ukraine's case to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, against Russia, which attempts to prove that Russia lacks a legal basis to it. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he is grateful for all of his partners who opted to stand on the right side of history. He further claimed that they will hold Russia accountable together. Russian forces deported 512 Mariupol people to Russia. Pyotr Andriushchenko, advisor to the mayor of Mariupol, stated that Russian invaders deported 512 individuals from the village of Bezymenoye in the Donetsk area to the Russian Federation. On Friday, he said that during the day, 416 Mariupol inhabitants, including 46 children, were transported from Mariupol to the Bezymenoye filtration camp in the Novoazovsky. After filtration, 512 people from the settlement of Bezymenoye were transported to Russia. G7 to help Ukraine develop and restore its healthcare system. The group of 7, G7, countries have stated their willingness to continue to support Ukraine in order to boost its efforts and rebuild its healthcare system. This was noted in a statement issued after the G7 health ministers met in Berlin on Friday. The G7 is currently led by Germany, which is committed to assisting the Ukrainian government in its efforts to preserve the Ukrainian people's health from public health threats. G7 health ministers stated that they would continue to support Ukraine in its efforts to boost the functioning and recovery of its healthcare system. Russia ready to launch 16 cruise missiles from Black Sea, says Ukraine. Amid the relentless war in Ukraine, the Ukraine Defense Ministry, on Friday, said that Moscow is ready to launch cruise missiles from the Black Sea. Spokesperson of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, Oleksandra Motuzianik, said 2 Russian ships with a total volley of up to 16 caliber cruise missiles are ready for use in the Black. Russia to end gas supply to Finland from May 21 after Helsinki refuses to pay in rubles. In a major development, the Finnish state gas company Gasum has announced that Russian energy corporation Gazprom has informed them that it will halt the supply of natural gas to Finland from Saturday, May 20. Gasum said that it will now supply natural gas to its customers from other sources through the Baltic Connector pipeline from May 21. The development comes after Gazprom refused to pay for Russian gas in rubles. Russian forces attack Palace of Culture, 7 injured. Amid the relentless war in Ukraine, the Russian forces attacked the Palace of Culture in the Kharkiv with missiles. According to Viktor Zabashta, director of the Center for Emergency Medical Care, at least 7 were wounded, including an 11-year-old child, in the attack. Germany and Qatar sign agreement to deepen their cooperation on energy. Germany and Qatar have signed an agreement to deepen their cooperation on energy, as Berlin seeks to diversify its natural gas supplies and ultimately stop using Russian gas. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said at a news conference alongside Qatar's Emir that the agreement signed Friday opens many opportunities for successful cooperation. He said that Qatar also has enormous potential for renewable energies and for the production of hydrogen. Russia to expand military base in country's western side. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, on Friday, asserted creating new military bases in western Russia by the end of. In a televised address on Friday, the minister said at least 12 new military bases and units will be built in response to NATO expansion. According to him, the Defense Ministry is planning to mobilize at least 2,000 soldiers with arms and ammunition. Putin accuses West of cyber attacks on Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country has faced a barrage of cyber attacks from the West amid the invasion of Ukraine but has successfully fended them off. Speaking Friday to members of Russia's Security Council, Putin noted that the challenges in this area have become even more pressing, serious and extensive. He charged that an outright aggression has been unleashed against Russia. A war has been waged in the information space. EU hints at using Russian assets for rebuilding Ukraine. Amid the relentless war between Russia and Ukraine, the European Union on Friday said it has been analyzing using Russian assets for the reconstruction of the war-ravaged country. Earlier, while speaking to the Financial Times on Sunday, Josep Borrell, the EU's High Representative for Foreign Policy, proposed seizing frozen Russian foreign exchange reserves to cover the expenses of rebuilding the war. He highlighted how the United States utilized the frozen money of Afghanistan to pay the compensation to the victims of terrorism and for humanitarian aid for the country. Russian FM says Moscow's special operation confirmed fears about West's plans in Ukraine. Russia claims Moscow's special military operation in Ukraine verified concerns about the West's plans for the country. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov claimed during a press conference on May 20 that Russia's suspicions about what the West is trying to do with Ukraine have been confirmed 100%. All our fears about what the West was trying to do with Ukraine are 100% confirmed, Lavrov claimed without providing any further detail. Russia says fighters surrender at steel plant. Russia's defense minister says 1,908 Ukrainian fighters who had been holed up at the Azovstal steel works, the last pocket of Ukrainian resistance in the port city of Mariupol, have surrendered. Nationalists blocked off at the plant started to surrender. As of now, 1,908 people have laid down arms. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu was quoted by the Russian media as saying Friday, Joe Biden has no plans on talks with Erdogan over Finland and Sweden's NATO bid, Sullivan. United States of America National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has said that President Joe Biden has no plans to engage with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan over Finland and Sweden's NATO bid at the moment. Speaking at a press briefing, Sullivan asserted that Washington is willing to make efforts to resolve the issues. He stated the U.S. believes that the concerns of Turkey regarding Sweden and Finland's NATO membership bid can be addressed and resolved. Ukraine says it repels Russian attack as war grinds in east. Ukrainian authorities said Friday that their troops repelled a Russian attack in the east, as Moscow struggled to gain ground in the region that is now the focus of the war even while intensifying its campaign there. Battered by their months-long siege of the vital port city of Mariupol, Russian troops need time to regroup, Britain's defense ministry said in an assessment, but they may not. The city and the steelworks where Ukrainian fighters have held off the Russian assault for weeks have become a symbol of Ukraine's stoic resistance and surprising ability to stymie a much larger force. Erdogan accuses Sweden of supplying weapons to terrorists. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, on Friday, again accused Sweden of supplying weapons to terrorists who carried out attacks in Turkey. He said Ankara will continue to fight the Kurdistan Workers' Party and its offshoots, despite the support they receive from the United States and Europe.